On a peaceful day, Earth was alive with the sounds of laughter and joy. Children played in the parks, and families enjoyed picnics under the warm sun. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger looming in the dark expanse of space. Little did they know that a storm was coming, one that would change everything. In the depths of the universe, a massive fleet of alien ships was on its way to Earth. This fleet was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It was made up of 800,000 deadly assassins, trained for years to be the perfect warriors. They were powerful and ruthless, with only one mission: to destroy humanity and claim Earth for themselves. The leaders of this alien race believed that humans were weak and easy to eliminate. They had watched Earth from afar, studying its people and their habits. Now they thought it was time to attack. As the alien ships approached, a small group of scientists at a research center detected the incoming fleet. Dr. Emily Hart, a brilliant astrophysicist, was working late when her computer began to beep loudly. The screen showed dozens of blips moving toward Earth at an alarming speed. Emily's heart raced as she realized what it meant. She quickly called her colleagues, warning them of the incoming threat. "We need to alert the government," she shouted, her voice trembling with fear. "This is serious." Meanwhile, across the globe, leaders were in meetings discussing trivial matters. They had no idea that a great danger was heading their way. Just as Emily and her team sent out warnings, the first alien ships broke through Earth's atmosphere. The sky darkened as they blocked the sun, casting a shadow over the land. In seconds, chaos erupted. The aliens began their assault, launching destructive beams that destroyed buildings and shattered the ground. People screamed and ran for safety as the once peaceful streets turned into scenes of horror. The aliens seemed unstoppable, their advanced technology overpowering anything humans could throw at them. In a large city, Sarah, a young woman, was in the middle of her morning jog when the attack began. She looked up, stunned, as the sky filled with the enormous alien ships. Panic swept through the park, and people scattered in every direction. Sarah felt her heart pounding in her chest as she sought refuge behind a tree, watching in disbelief as a beam of energy struck a nearby building, reducing it to rubble. Across the city, police officers and firefighters rushed to respond. They were brave but outmatched. No amount of training could prepare them for this. As they tried to keep order, the aliens continued their assault, causing more destruction. The news spread quickly, and soon the whole world was aware Earth was under attack. In a military command center, generals scrambled to organize a response. "We must fight back," one general yelled, slamming his fist on the table. "Get the jets in the air!" But it was clear that the aliens had the upper hand. Their ships moved swiftly, dodging missiles and counterattacks. Each moment that passed seemed to show more destruction and loss. The fight against the assassins was daunting. Back at the research center, Emily and her team worked tirelessly, trying to understand the aliens' technology. They searched for any sign of weakness, any hope that could save humanity. "There has to be something we can do," Emily said, determination in her eyes. As the day turned into night, the glow of fires lit up the sky. Humanity's darkest hour had begun. The people of Earth were scared, but deep inside a spark of hope flickered. They knew they had to come together to face this enemy. Little did they realize that the fight for their survival was only beginning, and they would need every ounce of courage to stand against the 800,000 alien assassins who sought their end. As the sun rose over the destroyed city, a thick haze hung in the air. The sky, once blue, was now filled with smoke and ash from the devastation caused by the alien invaders. People wandered through the streets, shocked and afraid. Homes were destroyed and families were torn apart. But even in the darkest moments, hope began to shine through the fear. In a makeshift command center, military leaders gathered to discuss their next steps. General Roberts, a seasoned soldier, stood at the front. He looked at the worried faces of his fellow leaders. "We cannot let fear control us," he said firmly. "We must unite as one world to fight these aliens. We can't do this alone." Across the room, representatives from different countries joined the meeting via video link. Leaders from Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas appeared on the screen. Each one had a look of determination. "We must work together," said a voice from France. "We must share our resources and knowledge. Only then can we hope to defeat them." As news of the alien attack spread, people began to come together. Neighbors who had never spoken before now stood side by side, forming groups to protect each other. They shared food, water, and information. In parks, community leaders organized gatherings to discuss safety measures and plans for defense. Sarah, the young woman who had witnessed the attack, stepped forward at one of these gatherings. "We can't just sit here and wait," she said passionately. "We need to take action. Let's gather supplies and help our local police and military. They need all the help they can get." Her words ignited a fire within the crowd. People began to shout in agreement. "Yes, let's help!" they cheered. Sarah's courage inspired many. They started collecting food, water, and medical supplies to aid the responders. Meanwhile, Emily and her team of scientists were working around the clock. They had discovered that the aliens were vulnerable to a specific frequency. "If we can create a device that emits this frequency, we might be able to disrupt their technology," Emily explained to her team. "We need to get this information to the military. They can use it against the aliens." As the scientists worked tirelessly, word spread about the potential weakness of the aliens. Military leaders decided to launch a worldwide campaign, encouraging every country to focus on gathering resources and knowledge. They set up communication lines so that people everywhere could share their ideas and discoveries. In the weeks that followed, Earth began to change. People from different nations shared technology, skills, and manpower. Engineers, doctors, teachers, and everyday citizens joined forces to fight for their home. They held rallies and protests, demanding that their governments work together against the common enemy. In a small town, a retired engineer named Mr. Thompson decided to make a difference. He organized a group of local residents to build makeshift weapons and traps using whatever they could find. "If we can slow them down, we might stand a chance," he told the group. They worked long hours, fueled by the desire to protect their families. As communities united, a powerful sense of hope emerged. The world was no longer divided by borders or differences. People began to see each other as allies, fighting for the same cause. Every small act of bravery counted. Back in the command center, General Roberts received updates from around the world. "We are stronger together," he said to his team. "With everyone's efforts, we can turn the tide against these invaders." As night fell, the world looked different. It was no longer just Earth, it was a united planet ready to fight. The anger and fear of the past weeks transformed into determination. People were ready to defend their home. In that moment, the spirit of humanity shone bright. They knew they had a long fight ahead, but together they believed they could overcome the threat of the 800,000 alien assassins. As the weeks passed, Earth's united front began to take shape. Communities across the globe transformed from places of fear into hubs of action. With every day that went by, humanity grew stronger and more determined to fight back against the alien invaders. In a secret lab, Dr. Emily Hart and her team worked tirelessly to create the device that would emit the frequency to disrupt the alien technology. They knew this was their chance to turn the tide. "We must test it before we share it with the military," Emily said, her eyes focused on the flickering screens. "If it works, it could give us the advantage we need." Finally, after countless hours of effort, they finished the prototype. The team gathered around as Emily powered it up. A low hum filled the room, growing louder. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a nearby computer shut down. "It works," someone shouted. The group cheered, their spirits lifted, but they knew they had to act quickly. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the situation was becoming more desperate. The aliens continued their attacks, but the humans fought back with everything they had. In cities around the world, brave men and women used homemade weapons and traps to slow the aliens down. The fighters had learned from their earlier battles and began to outsmart the invaders. In New York City, Sarah had become a leader in her community. She organized patrols to keep watch for alien activity. One evening, as her team patrolled the streets, they spotted an alien ship hovering above a building. "Let's set a trap!" Sarah whispered, excitement and fear racing through her veins. They quickly devised a plan using old cars and debris to create a barricade. As the alien ship lowered, the humans sprang into action. They threw makeshift explosives at the ship, and to their shock, it began to wobble. Sarah's heart raced as the alien craft crashed onto the street. "We did it!" she cried, but they knew the fight was far from over. Back at the command center, General Roberts received news of the successful attack. "This is what we need," he declared, his eyes bright with hope. "If we can coordinate attacks like this everywhere, we can weaken them." He decided to send out a call for all communities to unite in coordinated strikes against the aliens. The following day, communities around the world executed their plans. In cities and towns, groups worked together, sharing their knowledge and strategies. They set traps and ambushed alien patrols. With each victory, their confidence grew. As the tide turned, the aliens started to show signs of panic. They became more aggressive, launching larger attacks in an attempt to regain control. But humanity was ready. Dr. Emily's team worked with the military to prepare for the next big battle. They planned to use the frequency device during the most critical moment of the aliens' next attack. Finally, the day of the battle arrived. Thousands of soldiers and civilians gathered at a designated location where the aliens were expected to strike. The atmosphere was tense but filled with determination. Each person knew they had a part to play in defending their planet. As the first alien ships appeared in the sky, General Roberts gave the signal. "Now!" he shouted. The frequency device hummed to life, sending waves of sound into the air. The aliens' ships shuddered and began to lose control. Panic spread among the invaders as their advanced technology failed them. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah and her team took action. They used the confusion to launch their own attack on the grounded alien ship. With coordinated efforts, they moved in, throwing homemade explosives and shooting their makeshift weapons. The aliens, now disoriented and vulnerable, were not prepared for the fierce resistance. As the battle raged on, Earth's defenders fought bravely. They had transformed their fear into strength and their anger into action. For the first time since the invasion began, they could see victory on the horizon. The aliens were not invincible. Together, humanity had found a way to fight back. And as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, the people of Earth knew they were no longer just defending their home. They were reclaiming it. The tide had truly turned. The sun rose slowly over the battlefield, illuminating the wreckage left by the recent clash. Smoke still curled into the sky, and the air was thick with the scent of burning metal and debris. But amid the destruction, hope blossomed. Humanity had fought back and won several crucial battles against the alien invaders. Now, they faced the most significant challenge yet, a final stand against the remaining forces. General Roberts stood at the command center, surrounded by his top officers. The atmosphere was tense but charged with energy. "We have pushed the aliens back, but they will not give up easily," he said, his voice steady. "We need to finish this once and for all." The plan was clear. They would gather all their resources and launch one last attack on the main alien mothership, which hovered ominously above the city. If they could destroy it, the remaining alien forces would likely retreat. But this mission would be risky. They had to strike hard and fast. Meanwhile, Sarah and her team were preparing for the fight of their lives. They had become skilled fighters and knew the importance of this moment. "This is our chance to end this nightmare," she told her friends, her eyes fierce with determination. "We cannot let them win." The people from different countries worked together, building makeshift weapons and traps. Engineers, scientists, and civilians all contributed, each playing a vital role in the preparation. Emily and her team finalized the frequency device, ensuring it would be ready for the big attack. As the time for the assault approached, a nervous excitement filled the air. People shared stories of their loved ones, reminding each other why they were fighting. Families gathered together, promising to protect one another. There was a strong sense of unity. They were not just fighting for themselves, but for everyone on Earth. When the moment arrived, General Roberts took a deep breath and gave the order. "Let's move out!" The crowd erupted into cheers as soldiers and civilians loaded into vehicles, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. The ground shook as they drove towards the alien mothership, the massive structure casting a shadow over the land. Sarah and her team were in the front line, ready to charge into battle. As they approached, the alien ships began to swarm around them, trying to defend their leader. "Stick to the plan!" Sarah shouted, urging her team forward. They raced into action, weaving through the enemy fire and dodging attacks. Emily activated the frequency device, sending powerful waves toward the mothership. The alien ships faltered, struggling to maintain control. But the aliens fought back fiercely. Energy blasts lit up the sky and explosions rocked the ground. Soldiers and civilians worked together, using their makeshift weapons to counter the alien onslaught. The chaos of battle was everywhere, but everyone fought with a purpose. In the heart of the fight, Sarah spotted an alien commander. "We need to take that one down!" she yelled to her team. They charged forward, dodging blasts as they closed in on the commander. They worked together, using everything they had learned in their previous battles. The commander was tough, but the humans were relentless. They surrounded him, using teamwork and strategy. Finally, with one last effort, Sarah threw an explosive that landed right at the commander's feet. The explosion sent shockwaves through the area, and the alien fell, defeated. Seeing their leader fall, the remaining alien forces hesitated. The frequency device hummed louder, disrupting their systems further. General Roberts seized the moment, rallying his troops. "Now, we push forward," he commanded. The tide turned dramatically. With renewed strength, humanity charged toward the mothership, throwing everything they had into the fight. They climbed over debris and battled through alien defenders, their eyes focused on their goal. As they reached the base of the mothership, Emily activated the final setting on the frequency device. A powerful pulse shot up towards the mothership, shaking it violently. "This is it!" she shouted, her voice ringing with excitement. The mothership began to tremble, and an alarm blared. The alien forces were in chaos, losing control of their ship. With one final push, the humans launched their last explosives at the base of the ship. The explosion was massive. A bright light filled the sky as the mothership erupted in flames. The shockwave knocked everyone off their feet, but as the dust settled, a triumphant cheer rose from the defenders of Earth. They had done it. In that moment, they knew they had won. The final stand was over, and humanity had prevailed. The dust began to settle over the battlefield, and the echoes of the final explosion faded into silence. The once mighty alien mothership lay in ruins, a smoldering wreck that marked the end of the invasion. As the smoke cleared, humanity's defenders slowly rose to their feet, eyes wide with disbelief. They had fought hard and won, but the cost of victory weighed heavy on their hearts. General Roberts surveyed the scene, his chest swelling with pride and relief. Around him, soldiers and civilians began to embrace, tears of joy and sorrow mingling on their faces. They had lost friends and family, but they had also discovered the strength of unity. "We did it!" he shouted, his voice booming across the crowd. "We defended our home!" The cheer that erupted was deafening. People hugged each other, laughing and crying at the same time. Sarah stood amidst the chaos, feeling a rush of emotions. She had fought bravely, and now they had won the battle. But her heart ached for those they had lost along the way. She thought of her friends and family who had sacrificed everything. As the crowd celebrated, Dr. Emily Hart walked among them, her mind racing. She had helped create the frequency device that played a vital role in the battle. It was a moment of triumph for science, but she couldn't help but feel the weight of the lives lost. She approached Sarah, who looked lost in thought. "We did what we set out to do," Emily said softly. "But we must also remember those who fought alongside us." Sarah nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I know. It just feels like a bittersweet victory." They stood together in silence, honoring the memories of their fallen friends and family. As night fell, the skies lit up with fireworks, a symbol of their hard-fought victory. The bright colors reflected off the faces of the people, filling them with hope and joy. General Roberts addressed the crowd again, his voice steady. "Tonight we celebrate not just our victory, but the spirit of humanity. Together we faced a great threat, and together we have won." The crowd erupted in cheers once more. Families hugged, and children waved flags made from scraps, proud of their part in the battle. Yet, in the back of their minds, the people knew that this was just the beginning. They had defended Earth, but the universe was vast and threats could arise again. In the following days, as the world slowly returned to normal, people began to rebuild. The scars of war were everywhere, but so was the spirit of resilience. Communities banded together to help those who had lost everything. They shared resources, rebuilt homes, and healed wounds, both physical and emotional. Emily continued her work in the lab, focused on creating new technologies that could protect Earth in the future. She collaborated with scientists and engineers, using their experiences from the battle to improve their defenses. "We need to be ready for anything," she reminded her team. "We cannot let our guard down." Sarah also found purpose in the rebuilding process. She became a leader in her community, helping others find their footing again. "We cannot forget what we've learned," she told her friends. "We have to stay strong and united, not just for ourselves, but for those who fought beside us." As the weeks turned into months, humanity's spirit grew stronger. They honored their fallen heroes with memorials and stories, ensuring their sacrifices would never be forgotten. The unity forged in the fires of battle transformed into a lasting bond, connecting people across the globe. One evening, as Sarah watched the sunset from a hill overlooking her town, she felt a sense of peace. The world had changed, but so had she. They had faced darkness and emerged victorious. The fight against the aliens had not only tested their strength, but had also shown them the power of community. And so, humanity moved forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They were no longer just a collection of nations, they were a united force. Together they would protect their planet, learn from the past, and build a brighter future. The echoes of their victory would resonate through time, a reminder that when humanity stands together, nothing is impossible.